Progress so far is that I've got some 2x6s connecting the main barn structure here over to that beam that I reused and put over in the corner. So this 2x6 is actually lag screwed into the bottom beam under the wall, and then I put some metal brackets over there to the 6x6 beam. Over here, the beam on this end is strapped down to that 2x12, which is put down with the mud sill anchors into the concrete. So that's all very stiff on that end. And then I've got the joist hangers connecting the 2x6 to this end. And believe it or not, you see my level over there. all of those legs are level, believe it or not. That far wall, I still have to fix. Let's see if I can zoom you in here. I still have to fix this corner. It is not pretty. And I think I've figured out what I'm going to do though. That 4x4 that's at the bottom of the wall is actually sloping down quite a bit. So I'm going to lift that up, try to wedge a leftover chunk of this 2x6 that I've got. I'm going to wedge that under the 4x4, kind of lift it up a little bit. I'm going to jack that vertical post in the corner, try to lift that up, take some weight off of, you know, what happens to be holding it up, which is that 2x6 right there. Come on. And then I'm going to wedge another piece of 2x6 above that 4x4 and try to get all of that to fit underneath that vertical post. Try to get it flush on the outside and then let the weight back down and see if nothing squirms out. If I can get it all flush on the outside, then whatever siding board goes back on the outside when I dress that back out should hold it all together. Of course, I'll put lots of screws and plates and whatever I have to tie all those little chunks together to get the bottom of that to be firm. But I think that's what I'm going to do with that, and I'm probably going to start on that about now. After that, the wall, that outside wall is going to tie into that 6x6 beam with, like, I don't know, little cripple joists or whatever you call them there, just to tie it into the floor. And yes, the siding has to get fixed, or that's just going to end up destroying whatever flooring I put in here. To be continued. And yes, Barn Cat's still here. He just found a comfy spot to sleep. So he's keeping me company in spirit. Got the jack under my post. I lagged a 4x4 post on the outside of this vertical post here and started jacking, and it barely gave any resistance. It just started coming up. So I've got it up just a little bit, got some weight off of the rest of it. I wanted to see if I could get this out of here. This is apparently the only thing that was sitting on. It was just an old 2x6, so it's at least 2 inches thick. And it was kind of overhanging this lower beam and up underneath of there, and it had been taking weight, I could tell, because it was slanted down. So I got to get this out of here so I can get new wood in, and it's been coming up. And there it is. There's 2 nails holding that thing in. I've got some, short sections of pressure treated 2x6. I'm going to kind of do the same thing they did, only I'm going to bring this 4x4 up. I'm going to put some 2x6 under it to lift it up, and then I'm going to put some on top, sort of make a 4x4 sandwich, and then let weight back on it and see if that's enough to do it. I've just been talking to the camera as if I was recording and doing momentous stuff, and you didn't get it, so I'll do a recap. Except the goat's in the way. I put a jack under that 4x4 that I scabbed into the barn. It's not good to eat. And stop it. Okay, I'll stand up. And I just put the jack underneath there. You can see I've got the board sitting on top of the stone that I cemented in. I gave myself a platform to jack from by cementing a big stone into the ground there. Worked pretty well. So I jacked under my jacking point. Like I said, it barely gave any complaint at all. Came up, I was able to get out of the light. I was able to get that 4x4 pried up enough to get a 2x6 under it, And then I put a 2x6 over it, kind of sandwiched it together, and that took up the space that I had under the vertical post. Let the weight down off of it, which I thought I filmed, but I did not. And it all settled down very nicely. The corner is nice and flush so that I can get, you know, when I put siding back over top of it, it'll all be flush. The bottom piece I might cut away or I might not. So I'd say the corner's back together. I might put brackets or screws or toenails, something together in there. But you know, the weight of the barn's holding it together. But there it is. There's the corner I fixed. Now back to the inside.
So here was my plan. Here's my plan. I got my little sample plywood here, 3/4 inch sheet. When I put the subfloor down, there was that, 2x4 along here, that was, you know, sticking up, much like it is over there. Underneath the floor, I think it was just jacking the floor up to miss the posts under there that were out of square. So that jacked the whole thing up that much. By pulling that out and building the floor flat with that, I'm able to get a flat transition between the old boards and the new subfloor. So that will be quite nice. Now, it wasn't quite as straight and flat as I had hoped. Some of this dips down a bit. I mean, it's a rough hewn board, so over here it will be sitting pretty level. Right in here I might need to shim the subfloor a little bit to get it level with these beams. So, you know, it's old stuff, but a couple of shims I can handle. And the trade-off will be a flat floor, and that will be nice. After working down here on the ground level for so long, having this floor structure set seems kind of high. So, yeah, this feels really high up above the ground, standing on this practice floor. Now the ceiling is pretty low, but it's always been. This is good. 2 4x8 sheets will fit in here quite nicely. I'll trim the length just a little bit, but they should fit side by side all the way to the edge. And we'll have a nice solid floor in here again. That was just a matter of jacking this beam up. I wanted to get the weight off of that pile of rocks, which it seems to have done, because here's the block that's under there and I can wiggle it freely with my fingers. So that weight is no longer on that beam to the rock wall, though some of these other big beams back here and in there still are on that wall. We'll take care of those when we do the other side of the floor. So the weight is firmly now on this rock wall. I put a wedge under there because my measurements weren't exact, but you notice when I put this jack on a cinder block to jack this up, it crumbled my cinder block in several ways. So
Now I know the weight capacity of cinder block. But I was able to wedge this piece of 3/4 in there. And now we have weight sitting on my wall. I found this chunk of 1/4-inch plywood. I think it was laid over top of this floor, patching holes. And I thought I'd throw it down here just to give me a feel for what it would be to have a floor in here. It's not as robust as the 3/4-inch stuff is going to be when I put it down, but it certainly gives you the feel for what it'll be like again to have a floor in here. And then I can go get some subfloor to put down and I guess wrap this up. I started this job when it was hot out, and now it's getting cool out, so it's time to be done with this thing. Hopefully by the end of this video, you will see a completed floor in here. So, let me get to it. Too small to work in here. All right. So I need to cut like 2 inches off here. Alright, a few wedges in there, keep that straight. This all feels good. Bunch of screws. Let me get the other one in here.
out from back here. The goat's already trying to eat the wood. That's not okay. Get out of there. Get your snout out of there. Alright. So what we have here is our flat floor. It's a little bit of a gap, but yeah. And it's pretty straight around the edge. Goes all the way to the corner. Covers the 2x6 that I put on that 4x4, so it's got full engagement the whole way around. Not much of a gap to the existing floor. I'll put some kind of a transition in there so it doesn't trip me all the time, because I'll be the one that it trips. And the seam down the middle is nice and tight. It's just a matter of screwing this thing down now. Alright, rookie mistake. I put these boards down, notched them up. They look really good. They're flat. Love it. Started screwing this one down, and I realized, how am I supposed to tell where the joists are to screw them in? So I think I'm gonna have to just kind of slide this one out, figure out where the boards are, screw them down, then mark something out on the outside so I can tell where they are. Put this back in place and then follow my marks. Yeah, that was dumb. And now we have a complete floor.
That is nice. Can dance a jig, except I don't know how to dance a jig. It's solid, it feels good. When you saw the structure underneath, it really can't go anywhere, so don't know why I'm surprised, but it just looks good, feels good. One other thing that I want to do, it's going to be a while before I can take care of this wall, so I've got some tar paper. I want to throw some tar paper down on this floor and possibly over that wall a little bit, just to keep some of the rain from coming in and getting on this floorboard here. I want to keep this good for as long as I can. So I'm going to protect that, and then hopefully, I don't know, maybe in the spring get to this. So what do you think? On to the next project. Now I don't think this is the end of the story for this barn. I would still like to put that wall back together, put some mortar in there, and build that up. And then there's this. This side of the barn is still missing a little bit of support, so I need to work on this as well. Hopefully what I've done will solidify things a little bit and kind of make this something that, you know, can be put off for a couple of months. It's starting to get cold now. I'm going to start to find things on the inside of the barn to do. This door behind me is kind of rotted and it needs rebuilt too, so there are things to do, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.